Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to our very first ever episode 4 of the first season of the Knick and the Hick. I am your host, Michael Brevard Decker, aka Captain BD, aka The Hick. And with me, as always, is
The Knick. What's up? I am Eric, and I'm the Knick. That is all.
This is all. And, okay. So, guys, I think last week we left off saying that we were going to talk about BioShock, our best games of 2007, and then we had Facebook select BioShock, and we've been playing BioShock, and that's what we were going to discuss today. At least that's what we said we were going to discuss last week for this week, and we are not. We're going to throw a curveball. We're actually going to go ahead and move on to our next set of movies, but I think we both agree that it's one movie, which is Kill Bill. So a little explanation of why we're not playing BioShock is really just on me. And the reason is that I didn't play BioShock this week. I guess that can kind of lead us in to this right now. What have you been doing this week, man?
Well, been playing BioShock, but then Last of Us came out. So been playing that since Thursday into Friday morning, I guess you could say. So I've been playing a lot of Last of Us.
How many hours do you think you have in now?
I think it's, I thought it was like 8.
8 hours, yeah?
Yeah. Because the last time I looked, it was like 7 and change. So it's got to be over 8.
Pretty violent?
Yeah, pretty brutal. I mean, you saw, I've been streaming every once in a while. So you saw one of the streams, and you did make a comment about how violent it was.
So
it's pretty brutal.
It's not just like violent, like gore or anything like that, but it seems like it's really like up close and like personal
it's
violence.
Aggressive.
Yeah,
it's very aggressive. Which the first one was, but this one seems to be more so.
Yeah. So the first one was a story of love and choosing life over the life of one that you love over the lives of many. And that's the whole big deal behind the first one. And this one is based off of hate and revenge.
Yes.
All right. So are you feeling that?
No, definitely. Was that in the group, in the Facebook group? Because I saw somebody write that.
Well, I've been hearing and reading about this almost in every group. Okay. It's the
the first one was about love, and somebody said the second one was about revenge, and then I thought, well, really, it's about hate. Yeah, definitely. You know, I kind of wanted to talk more about this, I guess, in the group pod, but the problem is, you know, there's still spoilers.
Yeah,
so it's kind of hard to talk about it without really talking about the spoilers, because, man, it is getting a lot of backlash.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with sequels. Either hit really hard and great, and that's the problem of having such a great game. You know what I mean? Like, so this wasn't, I guess what I'm trying to say is this wasn't their first rodeo. They already had a trilogy out at this time of Uncharted, where they already had their shit smoothed out, and they knew what they were doing. They knew how to work that engine to a T, and they were great at storytelling and development, to where their games, especially in Uncharted, like when you got to Uncharted 2 and Uncharted and the first one, to where it was like watching a movie, really. And that's how the dialogue and everything was. Like, these weren't just characters in video games. Like, these were like characters that you would watch TV shows or movies or, you know, read about in books. Like, that's their type of development. And that's what, you know, they did for 3 games before they made The Last of Us. The Last of Us, it wasn't their first rodeo. So because of that, they were just geared for success for that game to come out anyways. So now this one has to meet, it has such high expectations because of how massively renowned the first Last of Us is.
Yeah. Well, when I first started playing it, I felt like the game was a little slow because it focused more on story than anything else. So the first part of the game is mostly just movies, cinematics. It's really not you. And if you are controlling the characters, it's you from walking from point A to point B. while talking to other characters. So there really isn't much involvement for you and not much action. And I feel like they focus, like you said, the story was so important in the first one that they like tried extra hard to make it important in this one. And that's why I feel like in the beginning it was just very slow because you just focus on so much story. But the thing is I had posted this article on Facebook, and again, spoilers. So that's why people aren't really reading it or touching it. All people hear is that angry fanboys are, pissed off at the game. So you think that it might be, you just start coming up with conclusions on your own. Well, maybe it's because Ellie's LGBTQ. Maybe it's because this happens or this person does something. That's really not why people are upset. It's because, and again, it's difficult to talk about because you can't reveal anything. I just mentioned this, I just wrote this, like right before we started recording, I wrote this comment on the Facebook. It's not what happens, it's how they get there that people are annoyed at and how it happens.
Like, is it just lazy? Is it like lazy writing?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like Star Wars? Like, hey, we got to get to this scene, so we're just going to get to that scene. Like, we're not going to do any type of build up, or we're not going to plug in any information. We're just going to go from here to, we got to get to there. So next scene, we're there. Let's so there's a problem. Actually, we got to go to this place to solve it. Next scene, we're there at that place and doing it.
You just hit it on the head with the word build up. There is none.
Okay.
And
that doesn't get troublesome. If you're into the story, if you want the story, then that would be lacking.
And another thing I said, because was it didn't unfold organically or naturally. You know what I mean? It just like you said, it was abrupt. It just happened.
Yeah.
It's very soon, and those are the things that people were upset about. Also, one thing is that again, I can't really. Let's just say there was false advertising when they did trailers for the game.
Okay. See, and when I watched your stream, the bit that I was watching looked like it was the trailer for the game, like that area. It looked like that was what I watched, is where you were at.
But there were certain cinematics that they showed in the trailer that can't possibly happen in the game.
How do you like the crafting? Is it not very much, or?
Oh no, it's great. I liked it. It's a little confusing only because.
Does the UI suck? Like, does the wheel suck, or does the UI suck, or the wheel suck?
No. It's just, you have to collect a lot, and then there's different types of collecting. You can build onto weapons, so that's a whole other thing, separate from making, med kits or silencers. That's completely different. So you're constantly collecting, but I feel like they try to persuade you not to do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's a linear story, but then there's an abandoned building off to the beaten path that you want to go check out. But then you have the other character saying, hey, we got to get over here. And it's like, yeah, but I didn't explore everything yet. So it's like giving you this like weird, you can explore, but then we don't want you to explore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I like your so what I've heard about the game as far as like the combat styles is that there's 3 different types of combat style. You can sneak, be stealthy. You can go balls out and just fight people, and then run back and hide, then come back out when you're ready and fight people again. Or you can be super sneaky and just go around it completely. And it looked like you were taking stealth mode.
The reason why is because you don't really have that much ammo to begin with.
That was the thing in the first one too. Did you get like a single number of shells as far as guns go?
But I have 5 different weapons that I can use. But they're all used for different reasons. Like if you're going to use stealth, you're not going to use a shotgun to take out the enemies. So you have a lot of weapons, but you can only use them at certain times. Like if you're in a gunfight, you're not going to use a bow and arrow. So sometimes ammo is few and far between. So sometimes the stealth is good, but then also they all crowd, they all come around you.
Yeah.
You can't stay in one spot.
What I saw when you were in combat, for the most part, I'd say probably 80% at least of what I watched is you sneaking up behind somebody, taking their neck, you know what I mean,
Taking
with a
them out.
knife, and taking them the fuck out. And that's what I meant by it was violent, because it was like personal. But when I saw you use your gun, it looked like the same old story of Naughty Dog: shitty aiming, shitty gun control. Like, you got a fucking crosshair that's a little circle, and you just got to move that shit around while people are moving.
Yeah.
Which is basically always that's how Uncharted was too. It looked, when you were shooting, I was like, oh god, that looks just like Uncharted.
Yeah, it gets better because you are able to stabilize the weapons, with crafting.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that annoys me, like with the hunting rifle, it will be like this, and then it will get smaller, and then that's when you can shoot somebody. With better aim. So, but that takes like 2 seconds, so you can't always use that in a gunfight. But you are right. Like, lots of times, I'm trying to get like a headshot, and they shoot me like 2 times, and then she falls on the ground, and then you could actually aim while you're on your back. But it can be. That's why after the stream that you saw, I did another one. I have a bow and arrow, have a shotgun.
Yeah.
Been using the silencers more effectively.
So what's that, like? You're taking bottles, taking oil cans, taking shit like that?
You could craft it, and then you'd only get you like 4 or 5 shots.
2, okay.
Yeah, but it's I like shooting the people than I do the creatures. It's a lot more fun.
Oh yeah. What else have you done? What have you watched?
Well, we just recently rewatched Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Okay.
Which is the first
what do you
rewatch.
Think? The ending is rough, isn't it?
Yeah. I saw it in the theater, but this is the first time I've rewatched it since. So I think I had a better. What?
That ending, when he says, "Hey, Spider-Man's Peter Parker," and then like 2 days later, we're hearing that there won't be another Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Characters. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you leave us like that? Like, that's the shittiest way you could possibly leave us."
Not to nitpick, but the problem with that is he's 16 years old. Legally, you can't, reveal a minor's identity like that in the news. But yeah, it was good. I liked what they did with Mysterio.
Yeah, I liked Far From Home better than Homecoming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Homecoming, like, okay, so I know that I'm wrong for this and that it isn't a very popular opinion, but when he's got all the rubble on him and he's crying like a little boy, and he's, "Come on, Spider-Man," and crying, and "I can't do it, it's too much," and crying, I was like, oh, he's a little bitch. And then whenever I tell that to anybody, they're like, "Dude, he's a teenager. They're making him seem like a teenager." Like,
you forget.
I'm like, fuck that. He's Spider-Man. Like, he can knock people's heads off one hit. Like, fuck that shit.
You tend to forget, though. You do. It's like in this one, it's like Nick Fury wants him to do. It's like he's just a fucking kid on vacation. He just wants to get, some vacation poon. Like, leave him alone.
I liked Far From Home better. And that one, he grew on me a lot as Spider-Man too, to where he's my favorite Spider-Man.
Oh, you didn't at first? Like, what? You didn't like him at first?
It's just that there were a couple times in the first one. He just acts like a little bitch. Like, when he has all that rubble on him, all that fucking shit on him, and then when Stark comes through and fucking welds up the boat and is like, "You're out of it." He's like, "You're right. I gotta have that suit. I gotta have it." And he's like, "If you're not, I'm nothing without that suit." Well, if you're nothing without that,
South Park.
That's what he sounded like to me. And it's an unpopular opinion. I know that it's an unpopular opinion that I have, because every time I complain to anybody about it, they're like, "Dude, he's a teenager. Like, he's a kid." But I guess that's not how I want my Spider-Man. I don't want a kid Spider-Man.
what about in Civil War? Like he was like one of the. I mean, Civil War was a good movie, but he was one of the best parts of that movie.
Civil War, he was awesome because he wasn't in it for very long, just the airport scene, really. I really liked him in not Endgame, Infinity War, when he's dying and he's fucking. And this is one of the times where he's acting like a little bitch, and it finally hit Timmy like, oh man, this dude's a kid. You know, and he's like, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. And Tony's like,
Right.
it's all right, it's all right. He's tell him everything's gonna be okay, and then he gets strong and doesn't cry anymore and looks him in the eyes, and I was like, all right, like, okay.
Oh,
I'm a dick. I'm a dick.
Speaking of which, what do you think about, and this is far into the future, watching all the MCU movies?
Oh yeah, definitely,
And
for sure. We got to figure out the order because the order's funky, and it's argued at least through the first ones, especially where you put Captain Marvel, and if you include Incredible Hulk with Universal.
You have to, yeah. It's part of it. Yeah. You had mentioned the Kevin Smith movies.
Yep.
Well, The View Askew.
So I really like Kevin Smith. When I was in high school, you were like not just a cool kid, but you were like an educated kid. You know what I mean? Like you were a smart kid with culture.
Right.
If you fucking watched Kevin Smith movies, like you got it. You know, it was that kind of shit. Especially Clerks. Like only the cool kids fucking watch Clerks.
Right.
So yeah,
you can always do that though. Also,
Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob. At least those.
Not Clerks 2.
I don't like Clerks.
Reboot.
Clerks 2 and Reboot. He already had a family. His daughter was already in acting. He was not the same person.
Yeah.
He was not the same person that he was when he was making Clerks and Mallrats and shit. You know.
Did you see Reboot?
Yeah, I just watched it last week. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Nah. Yeah. Did you like Clerks 2?
It was okay.
Yeah, then you would really not like Reboot. If Clerks 2 was even okay, you would not like Reboot.
So you're saying he's like is sanitized?
Very. But Reboot did a really cool thing with Ben Affleck, with what's his name? Holden. He did a cool thing with Holden. They really tied like all the Chasing Amy stuff together.
Okay. Yeah, Chasing Amy is the hardest one for me. If we were to watch it, it'd be difficult to rewatch.
Chasing Amy's a rough one. Actually, they're all rough. I've been kind of like since we've been talking about it, I've been kind of like reinvestigating them. Mm-hmm. And the clips and shit that I've watched, dude, the goatees are out of hand. Like
90s, like really 90s goatees.
they are out of hand. Little patches and fucking goatees, like they're just they're absurd. They're habitual. There's like habitual fucking goatees in this movie. And all those movies. Okay, anyways, man, we're off track. So anything else you want to talk about? You watched? So I've been playing Destiny again because it's a new season. Mm-hmm. Getting my rank up, been getting my light up. I fucked up with Animal Crossing because you know that I've had a pretty crazy week. So this week I didn't sell any nips. So today I had about $500,000 worth of nips fucking rot.
Oh no!
It's because I've spaced it. So I think I'm just done with nips. It's just too much of a hassle. I've got 15 million bells in my bank. You know what I mean? Like I don't give a fuck.
Oh, very nice.
Give a fuck about nips. I don't even know why I do it.
At that point, yeah.
So that's really it. I started up Elder Scrolls Online because it is available now for Stadia. What sucks about that is that I've got a pretty good character created on PlayStation 4. I think he's like in the 20s or something with level. Like when you play with Andre, that's nothing. But for me, it's all right. I mean, I haven't played that game a whole lot, but so when you log on to Stadia Elder Scrolls, it tells you to link up your Bethesda, we'll call it Bethesda.
Bethesda, yeah.
you have to link up your accounts. I'm like, oh, cool, this is crossplay. Like if I link up the accounts, and it has Xbox up there, it has PlayStation, it has Steam, it has Stadia. So I'm like, oh, this looks just like Destiny. If I do this,
But
I can load up my character into this game. Obviously, I mean, the technology's there. If they're fucking linking me up to other accounts for other systems, no,
right.
no, that's just so that you're still upon the same agreement with Bethesda that you were before. You have to completely start these characters over, and that's a bitch. So I am going to eventually do it, just because I can play with my Stadia a lot more conveniently everywhere than I can with, I can't lug around a TV and a PlayStation 4 with me too many places, you know what I mean? But I'll have my phone,
Right.
and you can play on a PC, you can play on your TV like Stadia. That's the one thing about it, is it is convenient. So that's about it for video games. I did watch the reboot, and I watched with my wife last night Bad Boys, the new Bad
The
Boys,
new one?
The Life. We rented it for $5.99. Have you watched it?
No, I'm not a Bad Boys. I liked the first one when I was younger, but
The second one was awesome.
I never watched the second one.
So the Bad Boys whole thing is that Martin Lawrence is hilarious, and Mike Lowry, Will Smith is like this really high class fucking playboy in suits driving Porsches, and both of them just kick ass the entire time, Michael Bay style, shooting guns and blowing shit up.
He didn't direct this one though, right?
No, but what doesn't work is when they're both old as shit.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that's what this whole movie's about. Is like, even they're aware of that as well, right? Like they're in on it. It's kind of it's a cute movie. That's what my wife kept saying. Like, this is cute, because it is. Because the whole time Will Smith's telling Martin Lawrence, like, hey, put on your glasses, and Martin Lawrence, I don't need my glasses. And then something fucks up because he couldn't see, and he definitely needed his glasses. And it's not bad. It's not. It's not bad. It's a movie. I watched it. It was worth $6. Okay. But that's it. And I watched both Kill Bills. Which, guys, now we can talk about that.
Oh, that's segue.
So Kill Bill. Okay. Chapter 1 just says Chapter 1. There's not an actual like name for Chapter 1, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So Chapter 1 does open up with Blood Spattered Bride, right? The movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we start the movie off with a sheriff, I imagine, or maybe a detective.
He's Texas Ranger.
Okay, Texas Ranger. And he looks like a Texas Ranger. And he's driving to a small little Whitechapel wedding church place in the desert or in fucking country. I don't know. It's black and white. It looks dusty. And he has way too many aviators on his dashboard for any man. So he gets to the scene, and the church is fucked up. There are, nine bodies, right? 9 people. Nine people are dead.
Yep.
Bullet shells everywhere. He walks over to the blood spattered bride. He's looking at her, and he's talking to his cop buddy, and he's like, damn, why would somebody do this to such a pretty girl? And shit gets weird. He's like, look at her, and she's fucked up. Her face is all fucked up, and he's like, look at her pretty big doe eyes, her nice blonde hair, and I'm not seeing any of that.
Very subtle.
I'm not seeing any of that. She looks busted. She looked like she just saw Mike Tyson. And then that's it. They get away from that scene, right? And then they go to the hospital?
Yeah, it's what's it called? Yeah, they show her.
Oh, well, she spits. She spits blood, and he said, "This one's alive."
And you don't see. Well, she says to Bill, who you don't see.
But she doesn't say it because they cover. We know what she says, but she says, "Bill, the baby's boom,"
and then she gets shot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And each part we hear a little bit more of that sentence when this clip goes throughout the movie.
Right.
And every time, I don't know if they've done it yet, but every time for now, throughout this whole for the first volume, they beep her name out whenever they say her name.
Beep. Yeah, for the first part. Yeah. Which, okay. Yeah.
That's very Tarantino.
Yeah. It also annoys the fuck out of me because when her name does get revealed, it's just so stupid. But go ahead.
And you can actually hear it though. That's what annoys me. Like he does it, but you can still hear them saying "be it." Like they are saying it. Like whatever they filmed, they did say the name, and he went through and edited that beep in. Because you can hear him say "be it," beep.
Right.
So yeah, it's annoying. And then we go to the hospital, right?
Yeah. So it's she gets shot, and then I think it's chapter 2.
Yep.
Chapter 2, the blood spattered bride, and then it's
now we're in.
I think that's 4 years later.
Yep, 4 years later, we are in the hospital, and she is comatose. She is a vegetable, laying in a bed, and we see our favorite ATF agent from Jackie Brown.
Buck.
Buck, and everybody knows what Buck came here to do.
Right.
And then we see the dude from Waterboy and all the Happy Madison movies. He's in all of them. He's the dude
he's friends with Sandler, yeah.
Yeah. So he is here for a good time. I think $75 worth of a good time, right?
Yeah.
$75. He can do whatever he wants to her. So Buck is there. The big cross-eyed dude from
Waterboy.
Waterboy is there. That guy. Yeah. And he is prostituting out Beep.
Yes.
He's prostituting her out, and he says $75. You can do whatever you want. You can't punch her because if you leave bruises, the game's over.
He gets in trouble. Yeah.
Go ahead and nut or whatever you want. Her pipes don't work. And he said you can't. There's another thing. He can't punch her. He can't do something else. There was something else he can't do.
He's probably got to pull out.
No, he said her pipes are good to go. Oh no, he leaves her with this nasty jar of Vaseline. He leaves the dude with. He said sometimes she dries up, so you might want to use this. And he tosses him the nastiest jar of Vaseline you've ever seen.
This is
so. Door shuts. He walks down the hall. Does this cut away again?
No, well, she had already woken up before this happened.
Before they came in, and then she was playing. She was playing possum when they were in there doing all this. Right.
She sees that her baby's gone.
Okay, I fucked up.
She's no longer pregnant. She's no longer pregnant.
So when they first I fucked up. So when they first shoot to the hospital, and it says 4 years later, she wakes up going.
She just wakes up. Yeah.
Probably how you would wake up after 4 years of coma. I don't know about that abruptly because a lot of what do you call it? Probably would have set in. I don't really know if you could even move. Atrophy would have set in. I don't know if you can move that quick. As quick as she moved. But okay.
At all. That's the thing that she has temporarily paralyzed legs, but everything. What's atrophy?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Her brain activity would be dead for 4 years.
Yeah, it would take a minute. I mean, she came too.
Yeah.
Rose from the dead. Okay, so anyways, all that's gone. She's awake. When a Happy Madison guy comes down to kiss her, I don't know why he was kissing her. That's weird. But he got too close to her face and she bit his lip. And I mean, she bit his lip to where he pulled off and she bit it off, but that thing stretched.
Yeah.
Like 6 inches, it looked like.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this Kill Bill. Volume 1, Volume 2, all the way through it. The violence and the action and the blood and the gore is just exaggerated so much, like it's a fucking anime or something. Like it's stupid. My wife's like, "This is unbelievable." I'm like, "Yeah, the whole Yes, that's the premise. Like, it's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
So she bites the shit out of him. She hops out of the bed. She
Can't
gets
move her
his
legs.
knife. She gets his
Yeah.
knife out of his boot. She hears Buck coming back down, and Buck comes in, looks at the blood on the floor and his buddy lying in a pool of his own blood, and she takes out the knife and does her Pet Cemetery style, just right in the back of the heel with the knife. Takes him down, and then his head falls pretty close to her. She drags his head over into the doorway, smacks the shit out of him, says, "Where's Bill?" And then she gets a little bit of of what's it called? She remembers some shit, a backflash or a
Yeah.
flashback. I said that wrong. She got a flashback.
Yeah.
The flashback is him standing over her saying, "Well, aren't you the prettiest piece of nasty word I've ever seen in my life? Well, my name's Buck, and I'm from some hillbilly county in Texas, and I came to fuck." So she looks at him. She comes back to present time and says, "I know you. You're Buck, and you came to fuck." And she bow, just slams the shit out of him. A good few times. It actually looked like when it was done, I don't know if it was my head, but his head actually looked like skinny.
Yeah. Oh, in the door? Yeah.
Yeah. Takes his keys, hops in a wheelchair, goes into the parking garage, notices the keys. They say pussy wagon. And she's looking for a car, looking for a car, looking for a car. I was like waiting. I forgot what happened, so I was waiting for her to hit like an alarm and see if some weird fucking like that Mexican horn or some funny funky town horn or something was gonna honk like da 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 da. But no, nothing. I looked at the keychain. There was no key fob on it. But she rolls past the truck. It's a very obvious truck that this is Buck's truck because it is a
Because
bright
it's called
yellow called Pussy Wagon. She hops in the back. She's freaking out because she can't move her legs. And then we cut to the next chapter, right?
Actually, so what happened is the movie opens up with her being shot in the head. We talked about that. But then, because this is Quentin Tarantino, he jumps the narrative to when she goes to see
Shit.
Fox.
I hate this part too. I hate this part. And it fucked my
Why
wife over.
Why do you hate this part?
You're right. We did skip that whole entire section, and I think I know why I skipped it because I don't like it. You look at the list, and that list already has Oren Ishii crossed out on that list. Right. And Vivica A. Fox is number 2. California, whatever, Snake is number 2. And that pisses me off because Oren Ishii is the last kill of this movie, Volume 1.
Right.
Why she has to be last is because she let her helper go, and she was to tell Bill that she wants Bill to know that she's alive. She wants Bill to know that she knows where he's at, and she wants Bill to know that she knows that he knows, and blah, 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 blah. So I understand why she had to do Oren Ishii last. I don't know why we had to see that list, because what that sets up is the whole entire time that you're watching, and no matter what, you knew that she was going to win anyways. But now you knew she definitely was going to win because you already saw Oren Ishii crossed off. I see what you
mean. Yeah. So we shouldn't have seen the list, is what you're saying, right? And Oren, she knows where Oren is, but she doesn't know where anyone else is. So Oren is the one who tells her where everyone else is. And so that's why Oren is first. And frankly, Oren is probably the most dangerous. So she probably just gets rid of it. But
okay,
you're right.
So I need to talk about the Vivica Fox, right? The California whatever snake.
Who? She's Copperhead.
Okay, she's Copperhead. So California is Ishii.
I think so. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, so she goes to Vivica Fox's house. They start fighting.
Living a normal life.
Yep, just living a normal life. Nice little suburbs. They start fucking just going at it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vivica tells her I should have been fucking black. No, that was in the kitchen. But anyways, they're going at it, throwing each other through all the furniture in the house, breaking all the glass everywhere. Both of them pull out knives and they have a little knife standoff. And when this happens, the school bus pulls up and they just kind of both look at each other like, all right, let's chill out for a second. The girl comes in and they both hide their knives real quick. Vivica Fox's little daughter says, what happened? She's like, you know that damn dog, your stupid fucking dog? He came in here acting a fool. And then she looked like she was about ready to step in the living room. She's like, baby, don't come in here. Like, go to your room. We got things, there's broken glass everywhere. And, we got things we got to talk about. I'll come, go in your room. I'll come get you, when it's time to come out. They go in the kitchen and Vivica Fox is like, look, bitch, I need to know that you're not going to fucking start some shit while my daughter's here. And she's like, okay, well, Beep says, look, while your daughter's here, I will not kill you in front of your daughter. And she's like, all right, whatever. And she's like, well, but we're not finished. So then they decide they're going to meet up at a baseball diamond at a certain time. That's another thing I don't like about this movie. Every single time that they agree to meet up at some place, they never do it. It never happens. It never happens. Every single time they're like, okay, we're going to fight here at this place at this time. Nobody will be watching. It will be epic as fuck. And then somebody turns into an asshole and just starts fighting. So she's making I got to make some cereal for my daughter. And she said, we're all black. Meet me at this baseball diamond. We'll do it then. Okay, deal. Bet. And she's talking to her. And that's when she says, I should have been Black Mamba. I don't know why Bill made your ass Black Mamba. Whatever. And then she's pouring her cereal. And she goes to the fridge. I felt like I could hear her actually cock a gun when she went into the hallway, into like the cabinet or the fridge or whatever area that was.
It's in the cereal box.
But she comes back in and puts it in the cereal box.
Okay.
So she aims the cereal box at her. That was her shot. I was thinking like, well, the movie could have been over here if she wasn't a shitty shot. Like she fucking had a clean shot at her.
Well, she's the knife girl, wasn't she? So
yeah, and missed her by fucking 5 feet. Like it wasn't even close at all. And then Beep hops down on the ground, throws a knife at her. Game over. Little girl walks in and she's just staring at her mom. And Beep is cleaning off her knife, and she's like, "Look, one day when you grow up and you're still feeling, crossed about this, go ahead and find me if you want." And then that's the end of it. Then we go to the hospital and all the shit happens that we've already talked about, guys.
You see Ellie, and Ellie is the California mountain.
She's so she does the
yeah, which is from another movie. Yeah.
So I fucked this all up. This is why I'm not good at doing the
it's fine.
The walkthroughs through it. So yeah, before she even wakes up, you see Ellie coming through, and she's about ready to give her a dose of good night forever. And then Bill calls. Bill calls and says, "Hey, is she alive? Yep, she's here in a coma." And he's like, "Hey, go ahead. We're gonna call this mission off. Whatever she's been through, she deserves, to not die in her sleep. And if she wakes up, we did a lot of horrible shit to her. And if she wakes up, we're going to do a lot more horrible shit to her." And Elle flips out, not very happy. She wants to kill her. She wants to be the one. She wants to be the one to kill her. We find that out a lot in this movie, that Elle wants to be the one that kills her. But she doesn't get that chance this time because Bill called it off. She leaves, and then she wakes up fucking acting crazy. Then dude from Happy Madison comes through, and she bites his lip off. Fucking slams dude's Buck's head in the doorway, goes, finds his car. Okay, there we go. And now we're at the park. Yeah.
Question. So basically, Buck has been, raping her and selling her off. So what do you think of it? I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that's necessary. But what do you think?
Oh, to put that in there? Not necessary for the plot, not necessary for the movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that was necessary. I don't know if maybe Quentin Tarantino just really wanted that truck and just wanted, a little bit of subplot just to have that truck in there.
You think he built that whole thing just for that truck?
Possibly. I
Yeah.
remember the truck more than I remember Buck. You know, it's a pussy wagon.
Yeah. All right, so go on. So you said after that,
All right, she's in the back seat of Buck's truck. She's trying to get
yes,
her toes working.
her toes,
Well,
yeah,
not at this point. At this point, she's just
her
staring
ugly
at her foot.
toes.
And then we cut back to the weird part of this movie because it only happens once and it never happens again. But it goes into a fucking anime.
This is chapter 3, the origin of O-Ren.
Yep. So yeah, Blood Spider Bride, that ends when she's in the back of that truck.
Yeah, yeah.
She doesn't get her
Looking at
toes. She doesn't get her toes working until the end of Origin of O-Ren.
Yes, and this, like you said, it's an anime.
It's a weird because that's the only time. That's the only time there's any animation in these movies. It's just for this.
Yeah, just for her origin.
Okay, so it starts off. She says Oranishi was born in America. She's half Japanese and she's half Chinese.
Mm.
And they go into this. I guess it's probably their apartment. It kind of looks hotel-y, but it's an apartment. And there's this Yakuza leader, Matsusui or something like that. He's the big guy, and her dad is whipping the shit out of one of his henchmen, just beating the brakes off this dude. And then he kills that guy, and then a dirty shot, Matsusui or whoever the fuck that dude's name is, the Yakuza boss,
Mm-hmm.
his right hand or his lieutenant or whoever, his number one, stabs him in the back. Then they cut to Matsusui on the chair. He's laughing his ass off. He gets her mom, throws him on the bed. I thought things were going to get weird here, like because she's under the bed. She's under the bed. Little child, she's under the bed. And I thought, oh man, things are about to get awkward. But he doesn't rape her. He just cuts her up, or he stabs the shit out of her. He slices her once, and then when she's on the bed, he raises the katana and then stabs the shit out of her. Then you see Oranishi under the bed.
It goes through.
Blood starts dripping all over her face, and they leave. Right-hand guy shoots a bottle of booze. Booze goes everywhere. He sees a cigar on the chair. He fucking roundhouses the cigar towards the puddle of booze, lights the place up on fire. All right, does that pretty much summarize all that?
Yeah, yep.
So now we cut to what? She's probably about 15, maybe?
She says
young.
11.
Okay, 11. Okay, young.
Yeah, because she finds out that he likes a particular.
Okay, that's right. I almost skipped this. So yeah, no, it says he's a pedophile.
Yeah.
So he's a pedophile, and it does cut to where she's 11, and he is trying to get his freak on with O-Ren, 11-year-old O-Ren, and she says, "Do you look at my face? Do you recognize my face?" And she kills the shit out of him. And then she becomes an assassin, and they cut to her to where she's about 15 or so.
Right.
She's got a sniper rifle. She's all blacked out, looking very assassin-y on a rooftop, and there's some foreign nationals coming through. And now she's a hitman. Now she's a hitman for hire. Yep. She shoots the shit out of him. And the movie explains to how, because of this upbringing, because of everything, she became, one of the most deadly women in the world at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's about it for the animation, right?
Right.
Okay. So now we get back to the truck.
Yep.
We get back to Beep in the back of the truck, and she's like, "Wiggle your toe."
Yeah.
Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle your big toe. Man, those toes are something, aren't they?
Yeah.
One of them.
Quinn loves them.
One of them looks okay. The other one's got this curve on it, like this nasty.
That's what he likes.
But she wiggles that nasty motherfucker, and she's like, "There, that a toe. Good job."
That a toe.
That a toe. So, that does it for the origin of Orin, right? Now she's off and
Yeah,
driving.
that's it for the origin. And
Then we're on
then
an airplane, aren't we?
it's chapter 4, the man from Okinawa.
All right, we're on an airplane and we're going to Japan, Okinawa.
That plane is really cheesy, right?
Yeah.
From memory,
Well,
I
did
think
you
it's pretty
did you see
cheesy.
the chords?
Can you see the chords?
You can see both the chords.
Okay. So then he did that on purpose then.
Oh, very purpose. It looks horrible.
Yeah.
It's like a painted sunset in the background, and it's just a fucking
Yeah.
model plane on
Yeah.
cables.
Okay, so.
All right, so she goes to Okinawa, and she meets the guy that makes. Well, she meets Hattori Hanzo. We'll just call his name because his name's actually pretty important throughout this movie.
Yes.
So she comes in, and I like him. I like him as a character quite a bit.
Yeah.
So they're bullshitting about what language can you speak. I can speak this, I can speak that, only a little bit of Japanese. And he says, oh, that's fine, I'm trying to speak English. And he's telling her a couple Japanese words, and she's saying them back to him, and he's, oh, very good, very good.
That was great.
It was spot on, right? Very good. I like that guy a lot. So she's eating her shitty sushi. Well, she's not eating any sushi, but that's what this place is. It's a sushi bar.
Because he doesn't make the swords anymore.
And his helper guy comes in here, and they have some pretty funny banter back and forth that he's a general, and he said, go get me the sake. He said, sake? It's fucking the morning time. He said, whatever time it is, if she wants sake, we're going to drink fucking sake. And he said, if I was a general, you'd be blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't be talking to me like this. And he said, if you were the general, I'd be the emperor, and you'd still be getting me my sake. And then they go back and forth, and he calls him bald or something. And then when dude's leaving out the door, he looks back at her and he says, I'm not bald. I shave my head. So that's all fun and games. But when he leaves, she's like, what are you really here for? And she's like, I need Japanese steel. And he said, what the fuck do you need Japanese steel for? And she says, I got to kill vermin. And he says, what type of vermin? And she was like, very big. No, he said, to get my steel, you know what I mean? It must be big vermin. She says, like, it's very big vermin. And he's like, I forget if they're up in the... No, they're not up in the room yet. This part's crazy. They go up in the room at some point. I forget what got them to that point, but they go up to that room where he's got all of his swords out, and she's like, he said, I don't make these anymore. And she's like, well, then I'll take one of these. He says, you can't buy one of these. And she says, well, I'm not asking to buy anything. You're going to give them to me. And he's like, why on earth would I give you anything? And she's because that vermin that I'm killing is, a product of you. And he gets all sad because he knows exactly who she's talking about. And he goes over to the window that's condensated and writes Bill on the window.
Yeah.
He looks back at her and he says, it'll take me a month to make it. Go ahead and start practicing up with these. I think that's really it for Japan. Then they leave Japan, right?
Well, yeah, he opens up the room of swords, right? You mentioned that.
Yeah. She's good. Opens up the room of swords. She says, well, if you don't make this anymore, why can't I just get one of these? He says, you can't buy one of these. She says, well, I'm not trying to buy anything. You're going to give them to me.
Right. And then we get into the last chapter.
Almost, right? It is the last chapter, but it's not showdown yet, right?
He creates a sword. No. There's a big lead up. Yeah. Showdown at House of Blue Leaves, but there is a big setup before.
Yeah. So he gives her the sword.
Yes.
And then she does go to that bar, though, right?
Let's see. So she makes her way to Tokyo, stops at the House of Blue Leaves.
Yep, fights
And
88 people.
well, before that, there's like a large setup before that. She talks about Oren. She talks about the Crazy 88. She talks about uh, Gogo, her personal, Oren's personal
Yeah, the little girl.
bodyguard, who's like a 16-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl. And we see that scene where she's in the bar and she's like seducing a guy until she like stabs him in the dick.
Yeah, but I'm just saying we're at the bar, and that's when
Yeah,
they
we're at the
see
bar, but
you
even
see
when she's
Charlie
at,
Brown walking around, and
yeah, even when we're at the bar, it's just a lot of like flashbacks and setups, and then she sees the lawyer.
yeah, the
Right.
French Japanese who doesn't look Japanese at all.
Yeah, and then she has the flashback to when the whole massacre was happening, and then the lawyer was on her phone. What would you call that? Every time she sees somebody that's involved in the massacre, a siren.
Flashback. I don't know. Yeah, maybe a
No,
siren.
that siren. Yeah. So that happens, and then because she sees the lawyer. There's a great camera work scene when it's. I think it's from the top. Well, there's a great camera work when she first gets into the bar, and then the camera goes all the way around the bar, and there's a band playing, and then so we see the band and the people dancing, and it follows her into the bathroom.
What's cool in the bathroom is that it is like a see-through shot of the wall of the bathroom stall itself, and sees her like ready for action. And it does do a cool overhead view where you're looking at like
it follows her and then it goes over. It's great camera work.
Yeah, like really a layout of a room. Like there basically isn't a roof or a ceiling, you know what I mean? Like you're just looking at like the floor plan.
No, yeah. But it's a lot of setup until she starts kicking ass.
Yep, so she takes the lawyer bitch out into the bar and screams out, Oren Ishii!
Yeah.
Like it's time. She throws a dart. Oren Ishii hears something, right? No?
No, what are you talking? No. Well, she first goes to the private room that they're at.
Yeah, and Oren Ishii hears something outside the door.
They hear her, and then she hides from them in a ridiculous fashion. But then she sees the lawyer, she gets the lawyer, she calls him out, and then she does something to the lawyer.
Hey, has the point happened yet when Oren Ishii slices off the boss's head at the table? Was that during the...
Yeah, because she tells a story about how she's the head of all the families,
so
or whatever.
I guess we kind of missed that out too. So
yeah, and because it's supposed to show how ruthless she is, but at the same time she's willing to hear criticism, but constructive criticism.
Yeah, but you will not bring up her Chinese ancestry.
Right, ancestry.
Or she'll take your head, your effing head.
Your fucking head, yeah. But yeah, then
throws the dart out. Then little girl comes running out looking for dart, and then Beep is assassin-like on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh, and also this whole time she's wearing that yellow outfit with the stripe, which is a callback to Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, Game of Death.
Who was that basketball player that was in that?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem. Okay.
That is okay.
That's a good throwback. It's a good
is.
Good shout out. Good shout out there. Okay, so once she has the chick though, and she's out there yelling at Oren. She chops off her arm, and this is the first first blood splatter that we really have seen so far this time, where this becomes the over the top blood violence. And we'll see this throughout Quentin Tarantino's like next 3 or 4 movies.
Yeah, but this is the most ridiculous. But yeah, go on.
Okay, so now her gang is piling out of the doors from the upstairs.
I mean, this is the best part of the movie.
Yeah, there's like 3 parts of this action sequence, and they're all fantastic. And she just starts fucking boys up. Just fucking boys up left and right.
Yep.
She thinks it's all over with because she kills all of them.
Well, she kills the first wave.
That's what I'm saying.
Then,
hold on. She She said, "All right, Oren, come on." And she comes down, and then she hears motorcycles and cars and shit outside. And Oren was like, "Did you think it would be that easy to kill me?"
Yeah.
And she's like, for a second there, I thought it would. And then
but she fights Gogo before that, though.
the bald-headed guy. Oh no, the girl.
Gogo
Yep, girl's the girl. She's the girl. Yeah, and she does. She does.
The fight scene with Gogo is my favorite part of both movies. One of my favorite parts of both movies. And every time it comes on TV, I always have to watch it because I love that
chain
scene.
work.
The ball with the chain.
Yeah, the chain work's awesome.
The way that she
tightens it up and
whips it around her and her legs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And she's such a great character because she's dressed like a schoolgirl, and she's like 16 years old, and she don't give a fuck.
And Beep's like, "Look, little girl, you don't know what all this entails. You need to just back up." And Gogo's like, "Do you call that begging? You can do better."
Well, she giggles. She giggles like a typical like
anime.
Japanese. Yeah, and then she says, "You call that begging?" And it's just such a great scene. And then when the bride or Beep defeats her,
she fucks up her. Again. She fucks her Nikes up.
Yeah,
she had the cutest white Nikes.
It and you see it move, and it hits her right in the side of the face. And there's this sad moment where she's bleeding from the eye with almost like a tear, and it's just like this life has ruined young people.
You were just too young for this.
Yeah, but it's a great scene. It's such a great scene. The only part I don't like is when he brings in the $6 million man noise. When she flips back and is like, no, like that's a little cheesy, but the rest of it's great.
There's some cheesy shit. So there's at one point, so now the second wave comes in, and my cheesy point of this fight scene is when she has to scale the wall. And then the bald-headed dude just bicycle kicks his way up there.
Yeah.
He just floats up there.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, come on. Like, did you see how hard it took for her to get up there? Like, she was like struggling to scale that.
So, quick note, that's Gordon Liu. And Gordon Liu was like a huge Hong Kong, kung fu actor.
Isn't he Master Pei too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm sure he had something to do with the choreographing of the fights, but he gets a really long fight with her.
Yeah.
Because at one point he gets knocked out, and then he comes back, and he has 2 swords. So tricky little bastard.
But then she gets 2 swords.
Yeah. But it is a really good fight scene.
This fight scene is long, and blood sprays, and limbs are leaving bodies at a very excessive rate.
Yeah. Well,
legs,
did you
arms.
Want to say it goes black and white at one point? And did you want to say why?
No. Why did it go black and white?
So the MPAA
too much blood.
That was too much blood. So he ended up having to do it in black and white. And also there's a scene where he's done in the dark. But I think that the whole thing with the dark is just paying homage to another movie. So he goes.
Well, and it's kind of like those old school animations too, like the Lord of the Rings and shit like that. Like when they did what's that shit called? Where they do the animations, but it's like behind a screen. Where you have real people behind a screen, but you draw animation on them. I forget what that shit's called.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
So he did it. He put it in black and white to take away from the fact that blood doesn't really look like blood, I guess, in black and white. But yeah, so.
Yep. So this scene's long as shit.
Yeah.
And then when they get out of that is when they go upstairs. There's only about 8 people left, and a couple of them look extremely young.
Young, yeah. Yeah.
And they follow her upstairs. They go into a room to where it looks like she's cornered, and that's where the funky visual goes into. It's where it's
Well,
a blue.
it's just black and white. I mean, not
No,
black and
it's
white.
like blue. It's like blue
it's
and
a blue
black.
background.
Everybody's
and
shadowed.
the lights go off.
Yeah.
And then, she, because again, that's another way of getting away from the blood. But I think he did that to pay homage to a movie, because that's all these movies are, is just paying homage to his favorite scenes and movies. But then the lights come back on.
Yeah.
And then she's got one guy left.
And he's a little kid. He's holding a sword, real scared, and she slices it about 3 times.
Yeah.
And bends him over a knee and says, "This is what happens when you fuck around with Yakuza."
Yeah.
Spanks him with her Hattori Hanzo.
Go home to your mommy.
Go home to your mama. All right, then she comes back out, and everybody's not doing so hot on the dance floor.
Either dead or missing arms and
And
legs.
she said, "Hey, those of you that still have your lives, you're free to go, but you leave your limbs here. Those belong to me." And then she goes upstairs and opens up the...
She says to Sophie, she says to the lawyer, "Except for you, Sophie,
Yeah,
you're still fucking alive after a geyser of blood that's been coming out of her stump for like 2 hours."
So she says, "Except for you, Sophie." Then she goes upstairs, opens up the door, which is one of the most beautiful scenes.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It looks like it's straight up out of like a Japanese painting, like the old school paintings where you see the mountains and all that, and the snow-capped mountains, and it's just gorgeous. It looks like Mr. Miyagi's backyard, like in the wintertime. It's wonderful. So she comes up there and she's like, I gotta ask you, what kind of sword is that? She's like, "It's a Hattori Hanzo." She's like, "Silly
Lie.
Yeah, lie." And then she shows her, turns it to the side and shows her. And she goes, "Silly Caucasian girls shouldn't play with samurai swords." And they go at it. And I thought for a few moments, Oranishi definitely had the better of Beep. Slashed her in the back real good one time.
Yep.
She falls down. She thinks it's about over. Then she gets back up, and they go to fight some more. And then Beep slashes her in the stomach. Oranishi takes a moment. She backs up and says, "Man, you know what? Earlier, I'm sorry for talking shit to you. I wasn't showing you the respect that you deserve." And Beep says, "It's cool. Accepted. Apology accepted." They start fighting some more, and this part of this is pretty quick. Beep scalps her.
Yeah.
Takes a swipe at her head, and you see hair with a little bit of scalp on it fly off. Which is weird because you just see the hair and like the tan part of the head. But when they actually cut to her, he does a really good job of how he cut the screen right at the line, like of her incision, right at her cut.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell that doesn't have the top of her head right now in the scene. She's still talking to her.
Right.
And she's like, "Wow, that really is a Hattori Hanzo." But when you see her head, like you see her brain and you see all that shit, and you're like, well, when that scalp flew apart, there wasn't any red or anything on it. Like you would think that you would have seen, some brain matter or something flying off that with that wig. But that doesn't happen.
No.
She falls down, she dies. Beep drives Sophie to the hospital.
Still bleeding.
Still bleeding. Opens up her. This is weird. So if she was driving a car, because she was driving a car, right?
Yeah.
Because she was in a trunk.
Yep.
Why did she have a motorcycle helmet on?
That's an excellent question. So she originally came to the bar with the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess when she got Sophie, she took Sophie's car.
But they put the helmet back on?
Yeah. So she didn't want it. She didn't want somebody to see her face, even though she's already seen her face. Yeah, you're right. I never thought of that, but I guess maybe it's more menacing.
For
I don't know.
drama, to open up your
Yeah, but she doesn't do that though.
for more of a dramatic effect. No, she doesn't do that.
No, she doesn't.
It reminded me of The Mandalorian. I was thinking the whole time, this whole thing,
Oh yeah.
I was like, we can't see like her expressions or
Reaction,
reactions or
expression.
anything right
Right.
now. We can
Right.
just hear her voice. Like
Right.
that's the only act. Like that could be anybody. She could be doing a
Yeah.
voiceover for all we know.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird.
It is.
But then she tells her, "Can you tell me what she tells her?" It was, I left you alive for a couple of reasons.
I mean, I don't know verbatim, but she tells her that
Two reasons I left you worthless.
she wants to extract information. She wants information from her, and then she wants to tell Bill that she's alive.
And she knows
she's
everything.
Coming for him. She's coming for him and the others.
That I asked you for information. I want him to tell you, or I want you to tell him that you told me all of the information.
Yeah, everything, yeah.
I want him to know that I know everything. I want him to know that you know that I know, that he knows, that we know, that everybody knows. And then that's end of volume 1, right? Oh, no. So the end of volume 1 is Sophie is with Bill.
Right.
And, oh, no, she said, if you don't tell me your information, I'm going to start cutting things off, things that are very important to you. And then you hear some screaming. So Sophie, even after having her arm chopped off, was still not willing to give her information. And she got 1 or 2 things more chopped off, we can assume.
Yeah.
So now she's in a hospital room with Bill. Sophie is.
Yeah.
And Sophie tells her that, she kept her alive for a couple reasons. One was to give her information. I told her everything. And the other reason is to tell you that I told her that she knows, and now you know that she knows, and now you know that. And he was like, 1 more thing. Does she know her baby's alive?
Boom, that's it.
And then boom, that's it.
That's the end.
That's the end.
Before you get into volume 2, I just wanted to give you a little. So I first saw this in the theater, and I didn't care for it. I liked some parts. I thought the action sequences with the Crazy 88 was fucking over the top, ridiculous.
Yes.
And I saw it more in a realistic point of view, where I was just like, Sophie would be dead. All these people would be, I mean, no one bleeds like that. I just thought it was ridiculous. And then the scene where she goes to fight Oren, I thought took forever. And there was just like, let's get it over with already. But over time, and after watching it a zillion times, I think I've better appreciated the Crazy 88 scene, the camera work, and also, like you said, Oren. Because you're right, that is beautiful. The whole thing is beautiful. Remember the what's it called? The thing with
the water thing? Yeah, just dropping.
Dropping and making the noise.
It'd make you jump when it happened.
Right.
The first time it did.
When she gets cut, there's a quick splash of red blood on the snow. Which is a beautiful contrast. And but yeah, I think over time I've enjoyed this movie more so. But in the beginning, I was just like, "Come on, this is." But it's supposed to be over the top. It's supposed to be ridiculous. Even when Sophie gets her arm cut off, her acting is atrocious. Yeah. But I think it's supposed to be over the top. But okay, yeah, that was my hot take.
So I saw this. I had just turned 21, I believe, when this came out, and I saw it at a theater that opened up that was a bar. It was a drinking theater. Like you can sit down and order drinks, and then there was a big screen. And I just had a great time with it because I was 21. I was getting drunk, fucking watching this movie, smoking cigarettes and shit. Like it was awesome. And I loved it. And when it came at the end, chapter 2 will come this far away. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Like there's going to be another one this soon.
Yeah.
And I adored it. I adored this movie. I adored it.
Yeah, it's like a fine wine for me. It gets better over age, through
he
age,
kind of
whatever.
he had been doing some work obviously with Uma Thurman already in with Pulp Fiction. But she was also, even in Pulp Fiction, she was kind of a person that was big in the 80s and then died off a little bit. Like she was,
Yeah,
she I used to think she was hot as shit in that, what was like Johnny Be Good.
yeah,
Um what else can I say? Bill, also another guy brought back
yeah.
from the
Carradine, yeah,
dead. He
yeah.
was in Kung Fu, which is also kind of a Bruce Lee callback, but maybe not in the best way.
No,
Um, he also, I'd like to point out, he died masturbating in the closet.
while hanging.
Yeah, yeah, erotic asphyxiation. We've lost too many to jerking off.
Yes. Or if you want to believe Randy Quaid, it was the Star Whackers.
The
So,
Starbuckers.
have you
That
heard that?
must. I don't know. I haven't heard it, but it's great. That's awesome.
He says it's a bunch of people who murder Hollywood
And that's what they do.
celebrities. Yeah,
They
but
tie them up and
they really aim low if they're going after David Carradine
Carradine
people. If it's yeah.
or the NXS guy.
Well, it's not necessarily autoerotic asphyxiation. It's just in general. You know, you see these celebrities who are just like boom dead, and then Randy Quaid, it's a conspiracy of star whackers. So
So yeah, that must be a really good, you know, get off hanging yourself. I don't think I could ever take that gamble.
it is a gamble. It is quite a gamble. Yeah, so much can go wrong.
All right, are we gonna jump into two? We're already cutting
I
some time.
Yeah, it's up to you, but I think we could do it.
We could. I don't know. What are we already about an hour and a half?
Yeah, we're about an hour and a half.
We might want to call it.
All right, I mean that's fine with me because I haven't really expressed this, but I believe these are two movies.
Okay.
So when we do our rating, I'm probably going to
So
rate them as two different movies. You don't
so
have to.
so okay, I guess that's not a bad idea because for one thing, as much as I love this movie, I really like Volume 2.
Yeah, I didn't want to blow my load yet, but I do too.
Volume 2 just has so much backstory with everything. Like it really brings
Yeah,
everything together.
yeah.
Right now, man, I might put this number one. I'm gonna say
Really?
I'm gonna say Pulp Fiction, then this, then Reservoir Dogs, and then
Uh,
Jackie Brown.
with what we have. Oh, I want to say real quick. Jackie Brown was 95, and this was '03.
Big gap.
So a big gap. Yeah, it's like he kind of just like went back to the drawing board and went like, okay, Jackie Brown's not doing what I wanted it to do, so let me make my my other magnum opus, I guess. Pulp Fiction's still number one for me.
Okay, yeah, I'm
This
gonna
is
say Pulp
two.
one. This is two.
This
Then
is two.
Reservoir Dogs,
Then
and
Reservoir Dogs, and then Jackie
then Jackie.
Brown.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, there was another person I saw in Volume 2 that was in Jackie Brown, and it stuck out to me. And I was like, oh shit, like this was Jackie Brown. Um, there was a person. Well,
All right.
Samuel
Well, I
Jackson for
have to think
one.
about it. Yeah, Samuel Jackson. Also, you had mentioned. So I was reading this before we started recording. So you mentioned the Texas Ranger, Michael Parks. That's the actor.
Yeah.
He plays another character in Volume 2. But the one thing that I read before we recorded was that he actually plays the same character in From Dusk Till Dawn, and he plays the same character in one of the Grindhouse movies.
Who is
I
he in
guess it's
Volume
Planet
2?
Terror.
Is he the Mex or
He's
the pimp?
the pimp.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
he's the pimp.
Okay. That makes
So
sense.
yeah.
There was one more. I'll have to revisit this, but there was one more character I could have sworn that was in Jackie Brown that's in this.
Um,
Another
maybe
actor.
maybe when we go over two, it'll jog your memory.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I know. It's Sid Haig.
Sid, yes, it
Yeah,
was. It
he played the
was.
judge.
And
He
he's
played
the
the judge,
bartender at the
and
shitty
he's the bartender at the
strip
strip club.
club
Yeah,
in Volume 2. Yep, it was Sid Haig. That's exactly who it
yeah.
was.
He just died not that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Um,
yeah, he's used him a
yeah,
few times.
that's who it was.
All right, so there we go. I was hoping
Oh,
to get both of them in, but man, that would really take a long time.
they're long movies. There's a lot going on in both of them. There's so many actors and character actors and references and good scenes and good dialogue. So it's difficult. For that, I just wanted to tell you, if you get a chance, check out the stream I did yesterday with Last of Us. All I want you to see is the first part. It's like maybe 10, 15 minutes. The reason why is because I had started the stream in the middle of a firefight.
Okay.
So I just wanted you to see how that, because I had like a little, I think I had more weapons, I think, but
What
just wanted you to
headset? What
see
headset
how
are
you
you
could do
using?
it.
Did you ever figure out the?
No, it's just this one, the one
Oh
I have
yeah.
now. Yeah, I think it worked fine.
You connect it to Bluetooth, or you just plug it up?
I plugged it in.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I got my base model PS4, it came with one headphone that looked like a regular pair that you wear.
Right. But it was fun. So I just want you to see, because it just gives a better idea of what the firefight could look like,
Okay.
if you know what I mean. Because I feel like my first stream wasn't as entertaining,
Yeah. I don't know.
because the second stream is a little bit more into it. But yeah.
All right. So
So
guys, once again, we are Gamerish. Um, check out, come find us on Facebook. We have a fun group on Facebook. Come find us. We're always talking about games, definitely more than anything, but we also talk about movies that are coming out, TV shows that are out, comic books, um, sports. If we have a lot of different geekdoms and fandoms, and a lot of members that are into a lot of different kinds of shit that we're all kind of into a little bit. So we have good conversations. We don't have toxicity, and we don't have people that are shitty to one another. I'm an administrator. Eric's an administrator. Andre's an administrator. Donatello's an administrator, and we don't put up with that shit. So come over here and feel safe and feel good and get your geekdom on with us. Also, we have another pod called the Gamerish Pod. We air that we don't air it, but we record it every Thursday. And then we take you through the worldwide gaming news. We talk about TV shows, what's going on. Captain Cannon here helps us out with what's really going on with TV shows and comics at the time. And that's a fun pod too. We're also, Andre's been doing it for a little while, but you and I are just now kind of getting into streaming, so we've got that going on too. At some point or another, I don't know too many details on it, but we are going to start a Patreon. Let's see, Eric, you want to go ahead and tell them about your other pods?
I've got a Fanboy with an Opinion. I did part 1 last Wednesday. I'm going to do part 2 this Wednesday. There was an issue with the first video, so I'm probably going to be posting part 1 and part 2 of the video at the same time, because we're also on YouTube. And then, yeah, that's it.
All right, since you said that we're also on YouTube, can you go ahead and throw out the handles? You're really good at that.
It is the Gamerish Network on YouTube. You can also email us at gamerish537@gmail.com. The YouTube is, YouTube and Twitch. The Twitch, I think that's also Gamerish Network.
Gamerish_pod for
No, he changed
but
it.
okay, so yeah, everything's Gamerish Network then.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But yeah, those two are where it's at.
Definitely. Eric also wrote a book.
I did. I wrote a book called Champ, The Misanthrope of the Year. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. Usually if you just put in my name, ERIK, and Champ, Amazon usually comes up. Google that.
Google it. All right, fantastic. So next week, guys, I don't know if we're going to be doing BioShock or if we want to complete Volume 1, Volume 2. What are you thinking?
I think we could do both. I think we I think if we cut it down, I think we might be able to do Bioshock and Volume 2.
Okay, well, at least I won't have to watch the movie.
Yeah, true.
So, all right, guys, that does it from here. That does it for now. Thank you again for tuning in to the Knick and the Hick. I am the Hick, Michael Brevard Decker, and with me, as always, is
The Knick.
have a
See
good
you
night,
next
guys.
week.
All right, later, guys.
Later.